OPEC meeting July 2021 is a place of excitement. What's happening? So let us understand the expectation from the current OPEC plus deal and the OPEC forecast on demand. That's another area we need to deliberate. The key developments within OPEC plus is vital. Where are the consensus? Where are the differences? What does it mean to the indicators for oil price and how they are performing, how they will perform later? That's what exactly should be the point of deliberation today. OPEC plus, the Organization of Oil Producing Countries and its allies, and is widely expected to return 500,000 barrels of oil per day to the market in August. So it is going to have additional supply. The market has already priced 500,000 barrels a day additional production, and if it was higher than expected, the price will fall slightly. OPEC plus has become more flexible since COVID, and it can quickly adjust when it sees how big factors will affect the market. Now, in terms of forecast, OPEC Secretary General Mohammed Barkindo, he says OPEC expects demand to rise by 6 million barrels per day this year, with 5 million barrels that's coming back in the second half of the year. That was his forecast. This has given some real boost to the oil price last week. OPEC's demand forecast does not account for possibility of increased supply from Iran, the spread of COVID-19, Delta variant, which is now disturbing sign, and lackluster seasonal US gasoline use. So these are variables not factored still. When Iran is coming to the market, what will be the implications of Delta variant needs to be measured as well. The US and Iran have been discussing a new nuclear accord. If that happens, if it happens, Iran could return at least 1 million barrels a day to the market. When it comes to key developments in the meeting, OPEC plus allies were locked in a tense diplomatic standoff on Friday amid a dispute that threatens to send oil price sharply higher. Most members of an OPEC plus advisory panel backed a proposal to add 400,000 barrels a day from August to December. It will also have extended the duration of the OPEC plus deal, setting final expiry of the cuts in December 2022 instead of April. Now, OPEC plus is a full ministerial meeting finally got underway through the various members. Having said that, UAE remained staunchly opposed according to the delegates. Now, OPEC fails to reach a compromise only if the automatic fallback will be to roll over the current quotas into August and beyond. Now, the next meeting will be next month. That would lead to sharply higher prices, something most OPEC plus members wants to avoid. Now, the source of disputes, if you look at the disagreement, centers on how the group measures its production cuts, with the UAE demanding higher baseline for its own curbs. UAE cuts are measured from a starting point in 2018, setting its maximum capacity at about 3.2 million barrels a day. Expansion projects have since raised that number, and the country wants its baseline reset about 3.8 million barrels a day. The UAE argues that the change is necessary because under the current terms of OPEC plus deal, it is making proportionately deeper cuts than other members. The unfairness would persist even longer if the accord is extended until the end of 2022. So there is an element of grey here. So UAE is concerned, they have said it, they have a production and distribution of 3.2 million barrels. Expansion raise the number of the country wants baseline to reset about 3.8 million barrels. Now these are all having consequential impact in terms of the disputes. The country is ready to accept no change in output for August if agreement cannot be reached. But a resolution this time may not be easy because giving UAE what it wants, essentially a much higher production limit, will have consequential impact. The entire OPEC plus deal that buttered oil prices since the start of COVID-19 pandemic. That could allow output increase about 700,000 barrels a day for the UAE alone, and other OPEC state might also require an adjustment. So everyone wants to increase the overall additional revenue. At the same time, a consequential impact will be the price will come down if others are also supplying more and more. Now, what this OPEC action indicates, US is currently producing 11 million barrels a day, about 2 million barrels less than the pre-pandemic high. The reduced level also happens to be estimated amount of the current global production deficit, with the world currently using 2 million barrels more per day than being produced. Still, the market revival is impacting the oil price. Some US oil producers have been slow to add production. They are hampered by a lack of capital as well as a focus by shareholders on dividend and debt repayment, in addition to a new green focus. OPEC Plus is trying to follow the market rather than lead the market. They're balancing. It's a balancing act, of course. It puts too little on oil on the market and price run up. US producers will be drawn into more drilling. That's the threat they have. If it puts too much on the market to keep the price lower, US may strike a nuclear deal with Iran that could result in at least 1 million barrels a day on the market by end of the year. So it's all interconnected. They probably don't want to push the price much higher right now. Oil to rise about $80 per barrel or even $85 per barrel this year. They figure OPEC Plus will try to keep the price going high. Now, if you look at today's rates, almost NewMax crude, WTI, is $75 per barrel. Brent is around 76. Both oil prices have gone up on OPEC forecast of a better demand in the second half of this year. However, remaining alert to the OPEC Plus meeting outcome on Monday. Let's cross the fingers. Let's make sure the continuing updates on their source of disputes, how it gets mapped, how it gets resolved, what will be the supply, what will be the overall incremental demand, taking into account the Delta variant, and perhaps in the middle of the year we are in, what will be the consequence if Iran steps in, how the production and compliance format will change. All this needs to be time and again revisited. Now we are in the crossroads, still the prices are higher in global terms.